There was a sentence I carried for most of my life. I did not choose it, and I did not know I was carrying it. Lusta. It means lazy dog. It shaped more than I knew. What I tried, what I gave up on, what I quietly decided I was not capable of before the thing even started. I did not know where it came from for a long time. I just knew it arrived reliably in the moments that mattered the most. The sentences that arrive under pressure are not just descriptions of the moment, they are older than the moment itself. They come from somewhere else, and they arrived in you before you had the language to question them. What worries me now is not the sentences I am still carrying. It is the ones my son might be absorbing from the way I sound when I am under pressure. Not from what I say to him, but from what he hears me say to myself. That is what this video is about. I'm Tav. My mother grew up in Romania under heavy communism. In that world, intellect was one of the few things that could not be taken from you. University, learning, academic performance. These were not just aspirations. At that time, they were how you survived. When she had children, that language came with her, not as cruelty, as love in the only form she knew. I have mild ADHD and dyslexia, and those words did not exist then. There were no diagnoses. There were good students and bad students. Students who worked hard and students who did not. Reading was physically draining for me. Memorizing poems was nearly impossible. Sitting still long enough to learn the way school required felt like holding my breath underwater. What I was good at, it was patterns, mathematics, sports, creative work, singing, building things with people. The school had no category for those. My mother's survival system had no category for those. So the word arrived. Lusta. It was not said with hatred. It was the frustration of someone whose survival tools did not fit the child in front of her. The child did not know that. The child just heard the verdict. And the verdict became an identity. A reason to skip classes, a way of feeling bad when something did not work on time, a quiet permission to stop before the distraction arrived, and stop me anyway. Lusta ran alongside me for a long time. Through school, through university, through 3 companies and years of work I built while the sentence was still in the background. And when I finally stripped everything back and sat with what was actually driving me, I found it there, still running. The word was not describing reality, but it was describing what my mother's world had no category for. A child whose brain moved differently in a time that did not know that yet. Understanding where a word came from does not make it disappear. The word Lusta, the lazy dog, still arrives sometimes. The difference now is that I know whose voice it is. It is a sentence from a world that did not have the words for what I actually was. I know how I work now. I know the conditions that bring out what I am good at. I know what I build when I am given space. And I know my strength. And being a Lusta is one of them. Lying on the couch, watching my son play, looking out the window, and giving myself the space to just be. And that is not laziness. That is just presence. And I spent years not knowing I was allowed to have it. The practice is not replacing the word, but putting a positive sentence over a verdict does not reach the part of you that believed it. That part knows the difference between something true and something performed. The practice is tracing the word. When the sentence arrives and when the verdict fires under pressure, ask one question. Whose voice is this? When you can locate where it came from, it loses some of its authority. It becomes a sentence from someone else's world, not a fact about yourself. Then offer yourself one sentence that is more accurate. Not a declaration, not an affirmation. Something small and true that the old word has no room for. I work differently. That is not the same as not working. I need something the world around me did not know how to give. The old word may still arrive. It just no longer gets to be the only word. If a sentence like this is running in you under pressure, message me the word gap in the link below. I'm taking 5 founder parents through 90 days of exactly this work. The words running in you are running in your closest relationships. When something goes wrong at home or work, the verdict that fires first is rarely about this moment. It is borrowed from an older one. And your child does not inherit your values. They inherit the sentences that arrive in your voice under pressure. The word you redesign in yourself is the word that does not arrive in them. Find the sentence, the one that arrives when something goes wrong, when you fall short of what you expected from yourself, when the distractions win and you watch it happen. Ask whose voice it belongs to. Then offer yourself one sentence that is closer to you, to the truth. That is the work, and that is enough. Now, you can name the voice, the part, and the gap between events and experiences, and the words that were running before you choose them. The next question is, what happens after the pattern already won? After you said the thing, did the thing, and watched the room change, how do you come back from that? That is what we go into next. The words running inside you are not the final word of who you are. They are what arrived before you had a say. You have a say now. We'll take this one layer at a time. No rushing and no quick fixes. Just learning how the human system actually works, step by step. See you in the next one. God bless.